Hello and welcome to this interview with Bastion Minerals Chair Gavin Rutherford. Welcome, Gavin.
Hi there, Ben.
Today, Gavin will be providing an update for shareholders on the recent board changes at Bastion, its strategy for the company's portfolio moving forward, and the milestones the company is now targeting. So to get started, Gavin, let's first review the company's new look board. So two new directors, including yourself, have recently joined the three-person board at BMO. What are the backgrounds of both directors and what do they bring to the company?
So, yeah, two of us have joined the three-man board. I'll start with myself, and that is that I've got a background in the mining and mining services industry going back about since 1996, specifically in construction of infrastructure on mine sites. Also, I've been sitting on the board of an ASX junior that started in 2011. And I've also been on the board, sat on the boards as a non-executive director of a couple of private public boards, both in overseas jurisdictions and in Australian jurisdictions. So in the junior and micro cap explorer space, I'm quite well experienced in that regard. And having operated a fairly medium to large size construction company during and preceding that, I'm pretty well credentialed to talk about making sure we get bang for our buck on shareholders' money. And I'm ever mindful that the money we spend is owned by investors and our shareholders. It's not our own. Keith Ross has also joined the board. Keith is a highly experienced mining engineer, and he has been involved with a lot of mine sites that people would know the names of across Australia. And I won't get encyclopedic on that, except to say that he's very well experienced and ex Kalgoorlie School of Mines, and a lovely guy, very very devoted to the cause. Both Keith and I are invested into Bastion, which is something we'll probably get to later. But the viewer should feel comfortable with the fact that we've got more at risk investment-wise than just about anyone else in the company. So I'm committed to making this work, as is Keith.
Great, thanks, Gavin. And it sounds like you're building a strong team there. And you did mention that both of the new directors are personally invested in the company. Can you tell me about those investments and how they will benefit the company moving forward?
Yeah, so a company, Sequoia Finance, approached myself and three other people, including Keith, to look at investing into Bastion. And we had a quick look at it, ran the ruler over it quickly, and decided that this was a company that we could make a difference to. And we went in via a small placement. The company was suspended, Ben, from ASX trading. So our first task was to get some money into the company and get it unsuspended, get it trading again. So we used a 15% placement capacity, but by far the greater amount of money, because we'd maxed out the capacity, was through a convertible note, which is in play now. So we've put between $600,000 and $700,000 into the company between we four investors, with two of those investors being on the board now.
And Gavin, beyond the board, BMO currently has no staff. Why is there currently such a lean structure, and how are day-to-day activities being managed?
First thing we do is everything we can do to reduce overheads, and so we can get the best return on the money that we've put into the company. That means rolling your sleeves up yourself. So we are fortunate in that the three directors on the board do have complementary skills as far as what they can do, and we have taken on the role of all the executive functions ourselves, so that we can basically have no pay going out of the company to individuals. So was the logical thing to do. And let's face it, a lot of the money we're investing is our own, and I want to see it spent the right way.
Sure. Okay. So, no fees are currently being paid to the directors or are being accrued until the company reaches a market cap of 2.6 million.
Yeah.
Can you explain why director fees have been linked to this milestone?
Well, 2.6 million is not really a big market cap, but the reason it's relevant is that it's around the market cap that the company was at when it ceased trading or suspended. So it's not fair to be taking fees as a director if the board's navigated a company to that point. You shouldn't really be taking money for what you do. So the logical aspect would be to say that we're not going to take any fees and we're not going to accrue any fees until we get back to that market cap. And even then, the non-executive director fee I think is 45,000 a year, which for us doing pretty much full-time job is, as you'd understand, is not a lot of money. So we're very much putting the effort into a focus on getting a return from the share price.
Sure, thanks for that summary. And now on to Bastion's project portfolio. So this portfolio does include projects in both Canada and Chile, and you consider both of these projects to be company-making assets potentially. Why do you regard both projects so highly?
Okay, we've got projects in 4 jurisdictions. So there's Canada, Chile, and Sweden, and Australia being the fourth. So we've got a couple of projects here in WA. Canada and Chile, the simple word is copper. I'm a big believer in the future of copper as far as the lack of supply against the burgeoning demand goes. And the Canadian project is the more advanced of the two. It was drilled fairly comprehensively in the mid-90s, and there's a competent and complete core yard still in residence on that ice project. And I'm not going to go too deeply into it because whoever's watching this can go onto our website and have a look at the project-specific releases. But if you think about how much drilling's been done there, and what the expense of that was, and what the value of copper was then, and what the value of copper is now, so we're talking 30 years on, and the fact that it was really it was a drilling campaign that wasn't a JORC code drilling campaign then. It didn't need to be, but we've just done a release where the JORC code has been applied to what was done then, and it's a great project. It's a company maker, I feel. We've still got a long way to go, but it's very advanced. So for people that have got a belief in copper, it's a great place to be. Similarly, you don't have to ask too many people to find out what Chile's famous for. And the project we've got in Chile, the Cometa project is an excellent project. It's not as advanced as the Canadian ice project is, but we do expect to be progressing with exploration on that project. And in fact, we're in dialogue with various Chilean personnel at the moment with regard to how we could start the ball rolling in that regard, as we are in dialogue and planning for furthering the ice project in Canada. I should also add that there's a couple of other projects in Canada we've got, which are up near where Whitecliff Minerals are, that can also be looked at on our website, and they're very good projects as well. But the figurehead project for us is ice in Canada, followed very closely only because of its lesser amount of exploration by the Cometa project in Chile. Two great projects.
Sure. And to put the microscope now on the project in Sweden, which you also mentioned, what are you considering to do with that project? And just on Sweden, why do you view it as an attractive jurisdiction for mining?
Well, it is an attractive jurisdiction for mining. It's pretty controlled, but it's a mining-friendly country. And our rare earth elements and potential copper prospectivity is in the right geological address in Sweden. Are we interested in pushing that forward? I think what I'd prefer to be looking at is a partnering company that is familiar with the jurisdiction and that type of geology, to maybe pick up the baton and run with that with us, as a lesser partner. Let's see what happens there. But certainly the potential for the project seems to be very good. And geopolitically now, with everything that's going on in Europe and Eastern Europe, and with other sort of groups around the world, I think rare earth elements in Europe have actually got a pretty good future.
Okay, now if we shift back to corporate matters, the company has recently announced a rights issue. Can you outline that rights issue and the decision behind it?
Yeah, so the rights issue is the product of an undertaking I made to shareholders in the very first release that we made when we started trading again, and that was that wherever possible, we're going to try and look back into the company for resourcing of cash as required, so that we don't see any more dilution to shareholders outside the company. So the beauty thing about a rights issue is that it gives shareholders an opportunity to reinvest back into their position. Whilst it might put more shares on issue, it doesn't necessarily have to put more shareholders on issue. So we've got the thick end of 700 shareholders. We'd probably rather leave it there, I guess. But the rights issue is also the product of my undertaking to make sure people got the same deal we got. So we came in at 0.001 per share, and the rights issue is the same price, 0.001 per share. And for each 4 shares held by the shareholder, they've got a right, if they're in the right jurisdiction, to pick up 3 more shares.
And Gavin, just finally, the company has an AGM coming up next month. Do you have any closing remarks as the company looks ahead to this meeting?
Yeah. The AGM, this is probably Bastion's most important AGM, I believe. And that is that every shareholder needs to vote on this for the resolutions that the directors have recommended. There is I guess a possibility that other parties will be trying to pursue their own narrative through their shareholdings. I don't think that they are anything like as pure as the narrative that I've just explained in the process of this interview. And what I'm saying to shareholders is that we are demonstrably running lean, and we are demonstrably focused on getting results for our shareholders. And I'd like to see shareholders supporting us for that. You have the opportunity to put your vote in up to 48 hours before the meeting, but I'd prefer to see some voting being carried out before that. And if you get onto the Bastion website, this is if you don't have your AGM details, get onto the Bastion website. There is a QR code in the release that you can scan that'll take you into the boardroom system. And all you need is your shareholder details to be able to cast your vote. It's a very, very simple system. The alternative, if it all just looks a bit hard, is to name me as your proxy to do the voting for you, and that is on the same form. And of course, I'd be more than happy to welcome you into the fold of what a more positive direction is for the company. As I said, we've put the money in. It's our own money. We're doing what we said we were going to do, and I very, very much would appreciate, as would the other investors and the board, the support of shareholders in this most crucial AGM.
Okay, great, Gavin. Well, from what we've just heard, there's a lot ahead for the company, and I look forward to watching how it all progresses for you and the team. So good luck.
Critical time and an exciting time, and let's just get on with it.
Great. Thanks, Gavin. All the best.
Thanks, Ben. Cheers.